Welcome. My name's Teresa Hanel and I'm Deputy Principal here at Scotch College. I'm lucky here today to have two Year 11 students, Charlotte Trigoy and Poppy Burkett, and we're here to talk about International Women's Day and its relevance and what we're doing here as a college. Started in 1911 when there was a rally that was held overseas in Europe where there was 1 million people actually walked for women's rights. South Australia, luckily, we have been doing the right thing. Since 1894, we've actually had women that have been able to vote in Parliament. In 1975, however, the UN decided that we would recognise International Women's Day on March the 8th. So Charlotte, I'm going to now ask you some questions. So International Women's Day, what is the importance of that?
I think the International Women's Day is important because it celebrates the economic, social, political changes that women have achieved throughout history, whilst also reconciling with women throughout history that haven't had these luxuries.
Yeah, thank you. And what about in terms of gender equality?
I think the International Women's Day highlights gender equality because it shows how much fight and struggle women have had to do throughout history to achieve this gender equality, whilst also advocating for it and making sure that throughout the future we will continue to fight for gender equality.
And Poppy, what are some of the key issues that women are facing?
Women are still facing many issues, including gender-based violence, discrimination within the workplace, pay gaps in the workplace, limited access to healthcare and education, and also lack of representation within politics and other leadership roles.
Women in leadership roles, why is that important?
It's important to have women in leadership roles to add to the diversity of workplaces and other leadership roles, which can also help towards building a better future and having more inclusive ideas.
Have you got a female leader in mind that you look up to?
A female leader I really look up to is Karen Brumford, who's the 2023 Australian of the Year. So she's known for her film she released in 2016 called Embrace, and I remember when it was released my mum took me to see it. I was only around 11 years old, and while it did impact me, it didn't really affect me too much until I watched it again recently. And so basically the film embodies her struggle and fight to accept her body, and it's a great message for all women. So I just admire her fight and her leadership and her movement in helping women accept their bodies, because it can hold many women back in their daily lives.
Oh, thank you for that. That's good. And Charlotte, have you got one?
I think that a women leader that I look up to would be Penny Wong, who is a Foreign Affairs Minister in South Australia. I think that the main reason that I look up to her is because she's creating change in our society, and although yes, women do create lots of change currently in modern society, I think that coming from such a male-dominated workforce like politics, I think that it's inspiring and amazing that Penny is able to do that.
So Charlotte, what could we as a school be doing to promote gender equality?
I think that one of the main things that we as a school can do around gender equality would be to promote advocacy, to have in-class discussions, or talk about stories of women that have made a huge change throughout society. In particular, at the moment in philosophy, we're talking about utilitarianism and showing how in our lives we can reach our inner potential, which in particular we've been focusing on female leaders who have reached their inner potential.
You would notice here today that we're all wearing a purple ribbon. That purple ribbon symbolises something, so Poppy, can you tell us about the significance of that?
The purple ribbons we're wearing today represent International Women's Day because the suffragette movement originally used the colours purple, green and white when they first started their movement in the early 20th century. Wearing these ribbons is paying respect to the fight that these women put up in history, and also acknowledging any other women throughout history who have helped support and fight for the women's rights movements.
Men also play a very important role in working with gender equality and empowering the rights of women.
I think that one of the major things that men can do to help advocate for gender equality would be to stand up for women's rights, make sure that they're educating themselves on the issues, and ensure that they are not only helping women throughout society, but making sure that they are in an even playing field.
I think that today, the words of wisdom that we've just heard from Poppy and Charlotte are going to make sure that women in our society will be ready for the future. And just so you're aware, Charlotte, that next Friday when we attend the women's breakfast, Penny Wong will be there, so you may actually get to meet your idol. Okay, thank you.